Welcome along to Game of the Week. It could only be one this week. It is the big one. It's the Good Friday tradition. St Helens against the Wigan Warriors. A combined Game of the Week and news update show here coming to you from Super League Raw. We've done the hard work as always. We've gone around the grounds. We've got you some great content. Stick around for this one. Here we go. Friday will be anything but as two of the most dominant forces in Super League history renew the most heated and intense rivalry in the game. Written in the pages of folklore are battles of blood and thunder. In the terraces and corridors, you can feel the footsteps of legacy left by Farrell, Roby, Chris Joint, Jason Robinson. When we close our eyes, we can still see the majesty of Cunningham, Edwards, Sculthorpe and Hanley. Now is the time for Jack Welsby, Bevan French, Johnny Lomax, Jai Field, Big Alex Walmsley, and the returning Luke Thompson to write their own chapter in a Good Friday Pulitzer Prize novel. The time for talking is almost over. Let the gladiators enter the Colosseum. It's St Helens versus the Wigan Warriors, and the whole worldwide Rugby League family are invited. Good luck, boys, and let the sport commence.
Amateur leagues in Wigan, St Helens was bred into you at that age, that you had to beat St Helens sides, and St Helens sides had to beat Wigan sides.
It's a game of rugby league that just means more.
Bang! And then he stands over, gives him a bit of extras. Look, making to go for the corner. And the tackle goes into touch.
Regan Grace in the corner for St Helens.
Kelly Warrington next goal.
With a lovely, wonderful play.
Champions, they find a way. They just do.
It'll be a 15th consecutive Super League victory for the Wigan Warriors. When they play St Helens on Good Friday, they'll be going for a full house of Super League victims since that winning run started in July.
All attention turns to Good Friday, to quality teams, fully committed, and anything can happen.
Anything can happen. Oh, even the neutrals are excited about this one. St Helens, quite simply for me, have to win. There's been a lot of toing and froing on social media. Speaking of social media, brilliant content on the Wigan Saints Super League and Sky Sports apps. Go and have a look at all of that great content. But like I say, this is a game that Saints have to win. Lots of toing and froing on social media about World Club champions and all the rest of it. The time for talking stops. This is what it's all about. And if Saints don't win this, I'm afraid it's time for them to shut up, at least until the next time these two meet. This is what it's all about, isn't it? What a great game it's going to be. Last year's grand final winners and League Leaders Shield winners and the World Club champions to boot go up against Saints, who of course were former grand final winners and world champions. It couldn't be better, could it? Look at last season. This time last year, it was the Warriors at the DW Stadium who won 14 points to 6. The Saints rampant at the Totally Wicked 34-16 in round number 15. It is second against third. Just look at the league table. Warriors ahead of Saints on the for and against, but of course a very big game in hand there for the Wigan Warriors, and that's why Saints, for me, have to win this. They have to put a marker down. They have to say to Wigan Warriors, we're going to run you all the way, and they can't allow them to get too far away in that league table, can they? They really can't. Let's go back to it. Here we go. Look at the odds. 4-6 on the Saints, 13-10 the Warriors. 4 wins from 4, plus, of course, a 5th if you count the World Club Championship for Wigan this season. Just that one defeat by Salford Red Devils at home by the Saints. Of course, they were stung by that. Players to watch in this are the generals, the people who marshal the teams around the field. Lewis Dodd, Harry Smith. More on those in a moment. But now it's time to relive Good Friday from last year. What a game that was last year on Good Friday. And of course, it was more about Wigan's defence than attack. 14-0 up. Some incredible defensive plays. Bevan Frenchley and Marshall, Joe Shorrock stopping the Saints that day. Saints were in great form that day. It was all about Wigan taking the chances and defending incredibly well their try line. These are the squads that have been announced by their respective coaches going into this Good Friday game. And as you can see, Mark Percival returns for the Saints. It's a really strong Saints lineup. Yes, they're missing the likes of Parsi. We know that. We don't expect Tommy Makinson to make it. He could, but for personally, I just don't see that happening. But he might do. Who knows? It's all up in the air. But yes, Saints will field a really strong side against Wigan, and that's why they need to win, because they have got a really, really strong roster there. There can be no excuses. Yes, they're missing Parsi, but apart from that, really, they're in great, great fettle. As to are the Wigan Warriors, no arguments from them either. Yes, of course, they've got the long-term absentee of even Havard, no Mike Cooper as well. But actually, as you look down that roster, it's a quality roster. It's one that they will fancy to turn over the Saints. So who do we think will be the lineups? We think Wellesby will be fullback, Wonga, Blake and Benison on the wings. If making some returns, then it's going to be a flip of the coin, Benison or Blake. We expect Conrad Hall to be in the centres alongside Percival, Johnny Lomax at standoff, then Lewis Dodd. We expect him to return at scrum half. The front row of Wormsley and Lees with Darrell Clark at hooker. More on that in a few moments' time. Then, of course, it will be Batchelor and Whitley in the second row with Morgan Knowles at loose forward. On the back line, on the bench, Moses Mbai, who has been brilliant last week, of course, in the Challenge Cup against the Leeds Rhinos. We expect Sione Matauti to be there, George Delaney and Curtis Sivonen. As for the Wigan Warriors, it will be Jaifield at full back, Miskey and Marshall on the wings, Kieran and Wardle in the centres. We expect Bevan French at standoff, Harry Smith at scrum half. It will be Liam Byrne and Luke Thompson, the returning Luke Thompson, to St Helens at the number 10 position. Brad O'Neill will start, we believe, as hooker. Willie Isa and Fallow, bags of experience there in the second row with Cade Ellis at loose forward. On the bench will be Cruz Leeming, back from injury, Patrick Mago, who's in brilliant form this season, Tyler Dupree, and maybe, just maybe, it will be Harvey Hill once more. I mentioned Darrell Clark. This is one of many key battles on Friday. Daz Clark has brought a new dimension to dummy half this season for Saints. Roby was class, a legend of the sport, but his legs had gone last year. Clark has brought electricity from dummy half to the Saints, and it's showing. He has been in brilliant form this season for the Red V. Some of these numbers, a lot of them are attributed to Clark. He's going up against O'Neill and Leeming alongside Mbai, of course. Leeming, very similar to Clark, but we haven't seen a lot of him. But in the games that we have seen this season, the Castleford game, the World Club Challenge, Leeming is class, absolute class. They need him on the field. They need him fit to the Wigan Warriors. But when you compare and contrast, look how close it is. More assists coming from the Saints boys. The busts and the clean breaks come in the way of the Saints boys. That's because, like I say, from dummy half with Marcus Square, Darrell Clark is electric, and he will need to be in this game. Wigan haven't played a Saints team with a hooker as at it as Darrell Clark for many a year. And I think this could be a real game breaker come Friday. The meters as well going the way of Daz Clark. Right, one player who's going to be playing Saints for 5 more seasons is Mr. Wardle, Jake Wardle of the Wigan Warriors. We're going to hear from him and his new contract. And we're also going to hear from the St Helens captain, the one and only Johnny Lomax.
Yeah, really happy with it. Obviously, since I've signed, I've made everyone aware that I really enjoy it here. I've only been here 18 months or so now, but it definitely feels like home, and I can't wait to see what happens in the next 5 years. Giving my all each week, still learning the game, still trying to improve. Not really thinking about individual accolades, just trying to improve every week and see where my game goes from there.
Yeah, it's massive. For myself, I've kind of been brought up on the rivalry from being a young lad, being a supporter, through to a player. And having the opportunity to take the field in these games is a huge honour. The magnitude of the game isn't lost on myself. Having been brought up with the rivalry and having it instilled into me throughout probably my life. I was going to say my childhood, but throughout my life now. But yeah, they're just huge occasions. I think, it's only added to not just the fact that essentially there's one road splitting the two towns. And I've been kind of more or less brought up in and around that area. But also because the two teams have been successful. particularly in the Super League era. Both teams have been successful, and that always adds to a rivalry. The noise that you hit with sometimes even in warm-up is incredible, especially with whatever might be on in terms of performances on the pitch at that time. It does make for that feeling of a big occasion, and I think that when the crowd are loud and proud, it's probably even the feeling that we get from them as opposed to the performance that might be happening on the pitch in terms of music or whatever it is that's the one that sticks with us, that's the one that lasts with us, that's the one that we really think, come on, here we go, and it gets a bit exciting.
Here we go, indeed. No doubt about that whatsoever. Great to hear there from Johnny Lomax, of course. As the great philosopher, Mr. Russ Abbott once said, what an atmosphere it's going to be at the totally wicked stadium this Friday. Johnny Lomax up against Bevan French. These two last year in the Good Friday game were in great form. Lomax will try Bevan French. His creativity exceptional. As you can see, 5 appearances to 3 in Super League this season. The tries go in the way of French. He's got 3. The assists go in the way of Lomax. But pretty similar. And the breaks go in the way of French, even though he's played 2 games less. But the meters, again, go in the way of Lomax. That's pretty even when you factor in the games played. There's no doubt these 2 players will be pivotal. Both are match winners on the day. If one of these 2 shine, that could easily be the difference. But for me, an even bigger key battle is at 7. We know that Dodd this season has really improved, and we know he can be a good game manager. Harry Smith in the big games, the World Club Championship, the Grand Final last year, he has really sparkled, hasn't he, in terms of his game management. Their play off the boot in this will be very pivotal to the eventual winners. Look at the attacking kicks. Look at the kicks in general play. They're huge, huge numbers. They do play the game off the boot, and if their A game is on fire come this game off that boot, that again could be the shift that he's looking for from what the coaches will be looking for in this game. It could go down to one of these 2. Could be a drop goal, could be a little grubber, it could be anything. But these 2, as well as the number 6s, are going to be very, very key. There's so many great battles in this game. There's just, honestly, get an A4 piece of paper. That's the width between these 2 sides. Really, really difficult to predict what is going to happen. But the Super League Raw boys, well, we did our best on Super League Raw Weekly this week. Myself, Greg and Steph had a little chat about this game. And we also, of course, had a word from our sponsors. A big thank you to Rugby League 3/4 on Facebook. Let's see what we said on Tuesday night. Right, we're going to get a little word now from our sponsor. And then, of course, we're going to look forward to the game of the week. Here we go.
He's target 5.
Here comes
Love that crunch.
Let me add a little bit of spice.
It could have only have been the Saints Wigan game for this one. It needs no building up. Needs no building up at all. Massive, massive game. James Bell out. First of all, let's cover that. It would have been an absolute joke had that have been overturned.
Steph?
No, it was a clear ban, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Clear ban.
Hip job, definitely.
Yeah,
it's his calf.
Yeah, it's night and day ban. It's unfortunate because of how well he's been playing, but
he's changed the game for Saints every time.
He has, and it's a massive, massive, massive loss for them, and it's a big factor in my prediction.
It's huge, mate. I mean, nobody loves James Bell more than we do. I think he's an absolute class act. I mean, he's class. But class. But here's one. Why wasn't it a frivolous appeal? Anyone?
We could say the obvious answer, but then we'd be accused of bias in the chat.
Yeah. I mean, and I've just got to say, You know, this is no malice against James Bell. I love James Bell. I'd love James Bell to play this game. I love watching him. I think he's a great rugby league player. But quite frankly, it was a ban.
Well.
And for me...
Has anyone had a ban increase this year? Because
Liam Watts.
Yeah, yes. It's the only one, though, isn't it? I don't think there's been many.
Yeah, a few have had the ban reduced.
Yeah.
I mean, there was something interesting on social media after the panel had met that Paul Vaughan got a 4-game ban for helping a player off his feet, an injury. And Daz Clark runs from the field of play to plant someone, and it's not even discussed. Hello.
Mate. It's frightening, mate. It is frightening.
I mean, nothing against Daz Clark.
No.
Great player. Was brilliant for Wyatt. Nothing against him joining Saints. He did what he had to do. And yet he runs from the field of play to get involved in something that was nothing to do with him, and not a squeak.
No. Well,
not a squeak.
No. Well, Dawn's asking. Dawn, they lost the appeal. They lost the appeal, but it wasn't a frivolous appeal, which is an interesting one. Look, yeah. I just want consistency and fairness. And when I saw that they'd appealed it, I thought, well, that's an extra game. Because for me, I'm sorry, it was a
all day long.
But hey, anyway, the good news is Belly will be back on the rugby league field soon. Love watching him. But yeah, I mean, this is where it does people start to get upset and question what's going on.
This is why we need to get rid of the disciplinary panel and have a point system for cards.
I know, mate. I know. Mr. Carney trying to nick your ideas. I don't know. Shocking. Right, let's get into this. Tommy Makinson could be back. Lewis Dodd could be back. If not, then Mbai, who actually played well, actually.
But he was one of the best players on the park.
Yeah, he played well, Mbai, didn't he? Yeah. So they won't be too concerned with regards to that. Morgan Knowles, he's being assessed. No news on him at this moment in time. As for Wigan, Field is back, is what we're hearing. He had a slight knock which kept him out of the Challenge Cup game against Sheffield. He's expected to return. No Cooper still, no Walters, no Esser, and no Havard. So both teams in pretty decent health, it's got to be said, going into this game. Going to the chat before it comes to you. Dawn's going Wigan 1-7. Robert Higson's going Wigan by 12. John Wilkinson Wigan by 12. Ryan saying Saints 1-8. A lot of love for the Warriors. Even Dawn Kirkby going Saints 1-8. Hello, Dawn, another Super League Raw member. There she is on the screen. Dawn, got to get you on the screen. There you are. All the very best to you. Good to have you with us as always this evening, Dawn. Look, we say this every time these two collide. Let's hope Rugby League's the winner. The atmosphere is going to be electric, absolutely electric.
Yeah, a sellout.
It's going to be huge, isn't it? I mean, I just want to be able to...
Sold out last week. It's been sold out for more than a week.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Which is brilliant. And maybe that's affected Challenge Cup attendances because if they bought tickets for this, I don't know.
Well, there's people willing to pay mega bucks online. Have you seen it? I mean, again, the strength of the sport. I mean, some of the numbers I've been seeing, people willing to buy a ticket for, it's we're talking hundreds of quid.
Yeah. I'm hoping it lives up to the billing, and I think it will. You rarely walk away from a Saints Wigan game disappointed with the game. Rarely. And I think Wigan will win 1-8. I think it'll be really close. And it will live up to its billing as game of the week. It's one of the games of the season, whether it's at Saints or Wigan.
And there's more riding on it, Reg, with the World Club Challenge, and all that.
Yeah. I think Saints will miss Bell because Bell seems to change the game. If Saints are struggling, Bell comes on and adds a new dynamic. They'll miss him. They certainly will miss him, and that's why I think if Bell was playing, I might have fancied Saints to pull off a shock.
Yeah,
but I think Wigan will win this 1-8.
Fair enough. Leigh Partington, good evening to you, Leigh. Again, he's biased, but he's going Wigan 1-8. Steph,
are Saints going to try and claim the World Club Challenge back if they beat Wigan?
Well, probably.
That's the way it works. It's like Conkers, isn't it?
Without the string.
Yeah. I'm a bit gutted Bell's not playing.
Yeah.
Me too.
Because I think it's got everything, hasn't it? This one, sellout crowd, Good Friday, Wigan Saints. You know, it should be an absolute classic, and I hope it is. By the way, the Leigh Wigan game's nearly a sellout. If you want to buy it, there's only I think 1,000 tickets left for the Leigh and Wigan game the weekend.
Brilliant.
So
it's great to see that the attendances have dropped since all the games were on telly, innit?
I know, yeah. Completely nullified that argument.
I think it's gone the other way. I think because it's so visible, people want to go and see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't want to be. It's FOMO, isn't it? It's fear of missing out, and that's why. I mean, it's a really good sign that people are willing to pay elevated ticket prices just to get a ticket. You know, I've seen Saints calling for the fans to get there at 1:10 to see the team in and stuff like that. So they are proper going.
Why not?
Yeah, it's brilliant, and it's great promotion of our sport. You know, even though none of us are Wigan or St Helens fans, we love this fixture, and we're going to really enjoy watching it. From a prediction, I think the bell thing is the factor for me, and I've gone Wigan 9-17.
Yeah, you have gone Wigan 9-17. The fans forum gone Wigan 1-8. Joel's gone Wigan 1-8. Greg's already told us he's going Wigan 1-8. So there you go. And I went St Helens. I've actually gone for Saints. James Bell, it is a massive blow, isn't it, not having Belly on the pitch? I think that's really to the detriment of the game. But I still think that Saints, with that, bit between the teeth, they know they've got to win this. I'm going Saints. Everybody else went for the Wigan Warriors. Here's an interesting graphic for you. The middle units. Now, before you see this graphic, you might be thinking that the advantage in the middle unit would be Wigan Warriors. And as you can see, not at all. These four men on both sides average exactly the same meters in every game. We put Sione Matautia in there. It could have been Morgan Knowles. Matautia has been playing a little bit of prop forward this season. Of course, Wingfield has played as well for Saints, but we've gone with Matautia for the purposes of this comparison. And as you can see, 294 metres apiece. Both have enjoyed 2 tries from prop forward this year. That's a really surprising statistic. So what we know here is that there is an absolute balance in the forward line. Walmsley's huge. We know Walmsley's huge. He is going to be doing the hard meters down the middle. He needs a bumper game for Saints. We know Lee's is good in defence, not as potent going forward. I think Delaney's growing every single game for Saints. They will match Wigan. They will absolutely go out to match Wigan. But let's be fair, the size advantage does go the way of Wigan. It's going to be interesting, but there you go. Who'd have thought it? Absolute dead rubber between the middle units. Now we go to the battle of the 3 quarters. Here that one is, and as you can see there, you look at this one, the advantage does go the way of the Wigan Warriors. They're doing more meters in the game, but look at that, even having played a game less in Super League than Saints, 11 tries have come from the 3-quarter line of the Wigan Warriors. That's a concern surely for Paul Wellens going into this game. It's going to be absolutely fantastic to see what's going to happen there. And of course, behind these men are Jack Welsby and Jai Field. They need no introduction, do they? These 2 players are electric, absolutely electric. They're going to light up the game. If they get space, we know they love the runs on the arches, the link-up play. Welsby and Field. And there's no doubt at the moment, Jack Welsby is in the better form. He absolutely poleaxes Jai Field in terms of the stats. Field has not had the greatest of starts to Super League this year. Is this the game where he arrives in 2024? If it is, that could mark disaster for the Saints. But at the moment, I think they've got the better fullback going into this game. Without doubt, he is the one in the best form. Right, let's have a little listen to what the coaches have had to say before this game.
Onto the game, they understand that the history of this great rivalry between St Helens and Wigan. So on some level, it makes my job this week a little bit easier. In terms of the players don't need any extra motivation. They understand what the game requires, and we're all excited and we're all looking forward to the challenge of facing Wigan on Good Friday. There's a chance Tommy Makinson may return. There's a chance obviously Mark Percival's suspensions are finished. There's a chance Lewis Dodd may play as well. What we've got to do is get through a training session tomorrow and see how the group comes through. But we're hopeful of having a few returning. Obviously, we've received the news this afternoon that James Bell has received a 1-match suspension, and as it stands, we're not sure whether to challenge that at this moment in time. I'm going to have a conversation with Mike Rush shortly as to whether we should, because I feel it's a bit unfortunate for Belly. And obviously, as you can imagine, he's hugely disappointed that as it stands right now, he's going to miss this game. So, what I do know is that tomorrow morning when I get the team together and have to finalise the team, I've got some very, very tough calls to make, because I've got 24, 25 players there who, and a lot of good young players above them as well, who'd all love to be playing in this game, but ultimately as the coach I have to narrow that down to 18. But that support, not just stood on the terraces, making noise, getting right behind the team, creating that bit of an atmosphere that I know that this playing group thrive on, and I think that showed after both victories heading in the last couple of weeks, how the players are very keen to go over to the fans and sharing that victory together.
It certainly does. Just being here now over in St Helens and chatting to the media and some of the St Helens staff as well, it builds the excitement. The players today in training were starting to focus on St Helens and the challenge that brings. And these are the games that we look forward to immensely, because we know we have to be at our best to. But yeah, I understand how important it is to Wigan fans. It's not a final, but it's probably the next best thing. And anyone who thinks it's just another league game doesn't understand it. And we don't treat it like that. We want to perform for our fans. And we have a lot of respect for St Helens as a team. So the rivalry combined with the fact they're such a strong team makes it a great test for us.
To get those full interviews, you need to, of course, subscribe to Saints and Wigan TV. Go on, you Wigan Warriors and Saints fans. Go and get all of the build-up direct from your club. We're great advocates of that here at Super League Raw. Both of those two coaches know how big a game this is. The bragging rights are on the line come Good Friday. Of course, the James Bell one, Wellens there saying, he feels for him that he's going to miss out. So the rules are the rules. There's no way that James Bell would have got away with that. It didn't look good on the eye. We've seen far less than that punished with at least a game's ban. It was one of those things. But I still think that Wellens has got enough quality in his squad to really wreak havoc against the Wigan Warriors. Will he bring back both Lewis Dodd and Tommy Makinson? That's a big question. Will he make that many wholesale changes to a winning team? I don't know. Back-to-back wins, of course, against the Leeds Rhinos. These are the odds, like we've already said, 4-6, 5-4 now, Wigan Warriors. That is narrowing all the time. John Benison, 8-1 to score the first try. That's good value. Marshall and Miskey, both 15-2. Look at the 13-point win margin, 5-1. The Warriors, that's a big margin, isn't it? And then at the bottom there, you can see Darryl Clark, 5-1 anytime try. That's good value, as is Cruz Lehman, 7-1. Get yourself over to Rugby League 3/4, our sponsor. If you like a bet on the Rugby League, gamble responsibly, but there's a great conversation going on there in their community about where the value is in the market. Hackers, multipliers, I don't even know what I'm talking about. But anyway, if you like a bet, get yourself over there, become a part of it. One thing's for certain, can you pick a winner in this? We can't pick a winner in this. It's going to be a brilliant game. Good Friday just wouldn't be Good Friday without St Helens against Wigan. Let's hope us as neutrals in this one get a spectacle, and it's a really, really good game that hopefully the referee is not the front and centre of. We mentioned that in Super League Raw Weekly. They've been reffing really well of late, the refs. So let's hope they do what they've been doing for this last 3 or 4 weeks. Let the game flow. Let the gladiators decide who win this one. I can't wait. You can't wait. We hope you've enjoyed that deep dive analysis. It couldn't be closer, could it? Every single key battle, it's very, very close indeed. What a game this one is going to be. Right, let's now move over to the other games. Let's build up to them as we look forward to Rivals Round.
Rivals Round, where all scores are settled. On Thursday night, we kick off at the Jungle. Castleford will want to hold on to the bragging rights of 2023. But this year, Leeds have sharpened their horns. It's the Tigers versus the Rhinos. On Friday, it is East versus West. Willie Peters' troop destroyed their neighbours in round 1. Can Tony Smith's men win back some pride for the Black and White Army? It's the Robins versus Hull FC. Then it's on to a sold-out, totally wicked stadium. It just wouldn't be Good Friday without this tradition. Champions versus former champions. It's the Saints against the Warriors. On Saturday, While Sam Burgess sits on the Iron Throne after round number 5, Steve McNamara's men fly in, hoping to breathe fire and destruction. It's the Wolves against the Dragons. Then, at 5:30, the surprise package of 2024 take on the surprise package of 2023. Paul Rowley's entertainers take on Adrian Lamb's injury-ravaged roster. It's the Red Devils versus the Leopards. And bringing down the curtain, London is calling as Mike Eccles' inexperienced side go in search of their first win. Standing in their way are the enigma of Super League. Great on paper, disappointing in reality. It's the Broncos versus the Giants. Get ready as the best of friends become the worst of enemies. Witness intensity, passion, brutality and a pulsating atmosphere. It's the 2024 Betfred Super League Rivals round where old scores will be settled.
Yes, and it all kicks off this evening at the Jungle. The Castleford Tigers taking on the Leeds Rhinos. The Rhinos are improving all the time. I don't know what's going on there with current league positions. My apologies for that. It should be 6, not 16. There isn't even 16 teams any day. Anyway, not to worry. Last year, of course, a disaster for the Rhinos. But yes, look at that. Last year, the Tigers won the series 2-1. It started in round 5 at the Jungle, a 14-8 win. Then at Magic, they came from behind to win 26-24 before the absolute trouncing at Headingley, 46-0 at the end of the season. The current game odds 13-5 for the Tigers, 3-10 on are the Leeds Rhinos. 5 losses in a row for Craig Lingard's men. As you can see there, as far as Leeds are concerned, they picked up 3 wins thus far this season. Big game, this one for Jacob Miller. Miller's been in good form, as has Westerman. You do feel that Miller needs a big game in this one. And Lockie Miller, the battle of the Millers. Oh, yes, this could be really interesting, couldn't it, this evening at the Jungle. Let's take a look then at the squads. And as you can see, a couple of people are missing. Luke Hooley, of course, out. But look at the bottom there, number 32, Daniel Hindmarsh Taki. He's going to possibly make his debut for the Castleford Tigers tonight. Josh Sim, he's been on the score sheet a few times this season. Broadbent Wood Senior. Danny Richardson back. That could be timely. Ron Mills, of course, he's out. Liam Watts returning from suspension. That's timely as well. Paul McShane is back as well. Elza Kem, he's been brilliant in second row. So don't worry about it. If Castleford can turn up, the problem with Castleford this season, they haven't strung minutes together. They've been good in patches, really not quite at the races this year. They haven't managed to do an 80-minute performance. Could it be, like it was last year, that it comes against the old enemy? It's going to be brilliant. Here, of course, is the Leeds Rhinos. Paul Momorowski back in the squad for them. It's pretty much as you were as far as the Leeds Rhinos concerned. You do feel that they hold all the aces going into this. You would be very surprised the form that Leeds have been in. They have shown glimpses, and of course the disappointment of going out of the Challenge Cup. Leeds, I think probably everybody's favourites going into this one, but they were last year, and Castleford turned them over. What we're going to do now is we're going to hear from Craig Lingard and Rowan Smith, and then we're going to move on to the Friday morning game, the KRFC game. So let's listen to the coaches and see what they've had to say with regards to these 2 matches.
The big boys ourselves, we know we're not quite there, and again it's going to take a while for us to get there. And we know we've got to respect the history that Leeds have got. We've got to respect the history that Castleford have got. And I guess as a coach, what you want to do is you want to try and take as much of the emotion out of the occasion as possible. And certainly for me as a coach, I've got to take that emotion out of how myself and our staff prepare the players, because we want to give them the relevant information that we believe can win them the games. But what we also don't want to do is take all the emotion out of the occasion, because these are emotional occasions, and these are the sort of games that fans want to come down and watch, and they want to watch the full-blooded games and contests, and they want to watch players getting off the line and knocking 10 bells out of each other, and putting these shots on and scoring points and getting one over your rivals and going to work the next day, and you've got that one up over your workmate who supports the opposite team. So we're conscious as a staffing group that we've got to make sure that we're cool and calm and prep the players as best we can, but we also want to wind them up and let them go as well, because it is a derby, and it's Leeds and Castle.
Their games this year, and they've competed really well in some of the games despite the scoreline, and really challenged the opposition with some of their shapes and the plays that they've been putting on. It hasn't all stuck for them, but they've definitely challenged stretched a lot of teams, and the score definitely hasn't been reflective of performance in lots of cases, I think. So, we're prepared for a tough, hard battle on a small pitch on a Thursday night, and it's probably be raining and all of that stuff. So we know it's going to be a rugged battle. Yeah, I think everyone, I think the away players actually enjoy a bit of the banter and a bit of, being under pressure and being close to the noise. And that's, one of the real, draw cards, I guess, of the English game is the crowd being right on top of the pitch and adding to the atmosphere. So it's something that we'll embrace.
We know what FC will bring on Friday. We know that they're going to play better and improve on what they have. So we're expecting a tough encounter. I mean, the first game was that, the score ended up getting away at the end. They had a player sent off, but it was a tough physical game. So we're expecting that again, and we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, but having said all that, and I appreciate professional respect comes into this, you're playing a side at a low ebb. They've conceded 50 points in the last 2 games. Doesn't that negate the usual cliche about form books and windows in a game like this?
I wouldn't think so. I think it probably gives them more motivation to turn their season around against a team like, against their rivals. I know that's what I'd be saying if we're in that position. There's no better way to turn your season around. So as I say, we know what they're going to bring, and they're going to come out hard. And they did the first round; they'll do it again. But again, what we can control is us. We've done that well the last 2 weeks. We did it extremely well last week against Salford, who are a very good team. But I just thought we managed that game and we're disciplined to stick to the plan, and we're looking to do that again on Friday.
Back to last experiences too much. It's where we're at the moment and what we need to do at the moment in order to compete and hopefully get the result. That's where we're at the moment. So, I don't know that referring back to last game and some of what happened in last game is going to be too much of a reference. We understand they're playing well, and we understand that we're not playing well enough at the moment. Can that change around in sport? Absolutely it can. Can change around in a week, and we're hoping so. We're training that way, we're working that way, but there's no guarantees to that.
And derbies do magical things. Is this the perfect fixture off the back of 2 heavy defeats?
Well, it's an opportunity, isn't it? It's an opportunity to do to go out there and get 2 points again. Same as last week, same sort of outcomes. Of if you perform well, you can pick up 2 points. So, it is a derby. We understand how important it is in terms of living in this city, the bragging rights. We'd love our supporters to get those bragging rights, and we understand all that. But we've just got to get about doing our job properly and our jobs properly, and focus on doing them the best we can, and working hard together again, and that's been tested in the last couple of weeks. So we need to get back to basics, and hopefully we can do that this week.
So that's the word out of the coaches. Tony Smith, has he ever been under this amount of pressure? He talked there about, the collective not really, finding it tough over the last couple of weeks, not working as a collective. He talks about hard work in that press conference as well. That's what it's going to take to dig them out the hole. Willie Peters being very respectful in his pre-game press conference. He also did what Ian Watson did after the game in the Challenge Cup, coming out in defence of Tony Smith. Tony under a lot of pressure. And if, KR were to do a number on their arch rivals on Friday morning, early Friday afternoon, just simply wow. It could get very nasty indeed as far as Hull FC are concerned. Rowan Smith there talking, again, showing great respect to Craig Lingard's men. He must be very, very mindful about what happened at the Jungle last year. Let's go back, though, to the first of the Good Friday games, KR against FC. There you can see last year, 4th against 10th. They played each other 3 times, of course. They played each other in round 1 this year. Last year at round 8 at the MKM Stadium, a 40-0 win. Then at Craven Park, it was FC who won by 16 points to 6. That's what the FC fans have got to hold on to. Can they do it again? They came off the back of a 40-0 loss at home to win 16-6 in their enemy's backyard. That's what they need to do again. But look at what happened in the opening round of this season. Another 0-22 on this occasion. It's 5th against 10. The odds 1-20 on KR, 17-2 if you're FC. They've only picked up a win against the London Broncos. You do feel Niall Levels, who's in great form at fullback, and New Brown for me really needs to turn up on this one. He really does. They need somebody who can just spark them into life, and that's what they brought Brown in to do. If he doesn't do it in this game, more pressure will be applied, I'm sure, to New Brown. It looks all day long as if it's going to be a KR win, but you know what? This is Super League. Who knows what's going to happen? That's why we love it. That is why we love it. Right, over now. Oh, actually, no, let's take a look. My apologies, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm not excited. Let's take a look at the two squads. There you go. I mean, as far as KR are concerned, they're in great fell. Rowan Mills, of course, he's out. But Mikey Lewis back in the squad and expected to play this one. So they're in great numbers there. Look at FC on the other hand. Again, not too bad. Hoy's back. Tyndall back in the squad as well. Sutcliffe is there. Of course, no Tumavari. You probably expect Cam Scott to be in the centres. McIntosh on the wing. Brown, like I say, massive expectation on Brown. Maybe Hoyle, I don't know, maybe Hoyle play in the halves with Litton at fullback, possibly. That could happen. Of course, all eyes will be on Franklin Pele. Can he stay on the field? I think SASA has been growing. So yeah, I think, the forward unit, don't forget George King's out for this one. So actually up front, FC might think, you know what, we've got a bit of an advantage down the middle. They will fancy taking on KR down the middle, providing their big players, Pele and SASA, are on it and they can show what they're made of. That could be quite interesting. Of course, Jack Ashworth, who for me has been the pick of their signings this season, alongside Jack Walker, who's of course missing again. But Ashworth's back. That's a big plus as well for FC coming into this one. But I have to say, I would be surprised, very surprised, if it didn't go the way of Hull KR. I'm sorry, Hull KR fans, that's just the way I see it. Right, Warrington Wolves taking on the Catalan Dragons. Again, apologies for the graphics. Don't know what's gone on here. This has been a rush tonight. I have to apologise, but hey, at least you've got a show. And as you can see, last season, 6th against second last year, Catalan Dragons. Brilliant season last year. Warrington just about in the playoffs. They had a sorry back end of the campaign. But they, again, Warrington got the better of Catalan last year. Look at those performances in Perpignan. But the Challenge Cup, both in the Challenge Cup and Round 8. But then the last two games have gone the way of the Dragons. 30 points to 10 at Halliwell in Round 21. And in Round 1 this year, in a real tight game in Perpignan, 16-10, the way of the Dragons. Current league position, 1st against 4th. Many think that is not really representative of where Warrington are at. Yes, since the Catalan game, they have played teams a lot, 3 of the teams that they played were finished below them in 2023. Of course, KR didn't, but Warrington sit top. Maybe at the moment that's not representative. We're going to find out a lot about Sam Burgess's men this coming Saturday. As for the Dragons, of course, they're 6-4 away from home. Warrington 4-7. They're the favourites. Warrington, of course, have won 4 in a row. The Dragons, as you can see, they're just the one loss against their name this season against the Leeds Rhinos. Matt Duffy, he has to be the player to watch, doesn't he? And Jordan Abdul himself has been in great form this year. Look at the squads, though. No Conor Wrench. That's a big one for the Warrington Wolves. No Conor Wrench. I think people will be surprised by that Conor Wrench isn't in this squad. But for the first time, probably, Sam Burgess has pretty much got a fully fit squad. Will Josh Drinkwater play, or will Leon Hayes retain his position? We expect Hayes to stay. Will Holroyd stay in second row, or will he be replaced by one of the returning Fitzgibbons and Currys? Who knows? Philbin was fantastic against London. Will he remain? I'd expect him to have at least a bench spot for Warrington. I think George Williams will play as well. But there's big holes in the Catalan Dragons. No Artur Morg and no Jaden Nikarima. That's a massive bonus for the Warrington Wolves. Those two players, electric pace, absolute quality. Cesar Rouge, of course, would probably be playing in one of the positions. And of course, back comes Tarek Sims and also Sirinen. They're back. But yeah, a lot of pace has been sucked out of this Catalan Dragon side going to Warrington. It could be the right time for the Wolves to play the Dragons. We will wait and see. Then in the afternoon, it's going to be the Salford Red Devils taking on the Leigh Leopards. Oh yes, last year, of course, Salford just missing out on the playoffs. Leigh got in 5th position. Look at the games against last year. Round 1 at the LSV went the way actually, I think that went the way of Salford. Again, apologies if that is the case. I think it is, actually. Round 8 also, it was a 22 points to 20 win for Salford. It's 20-10 and then 22-22. Really good games. And then, of course, Leigh 24-22 at the back end of the campaign. Leigh have got a great record against the Salford Red Devils. Current league positions, of course, both Leigh have had a really bad start to the season. They will want to take a scalp at Salford. Salford will want to bounce back from that terrible performance against Hull KR in the Challenge Cup. 4-6 on are the Red Devils. Nene McDonald in great. That is a great battle, isn't it? Nene McDonald up against Ricky Latelli. That could be a really, really good battle here. The teams, Ryan Briley has been selected in the 21-man squad. Will he be playing? Who knows? That is a big bonus if they can get him over the line for this one. We know that Salford at the moment have got a good squad on paper. They are punching. Believe me, they are punching. They've got a great, great shot in this game. No Brad Singleton. That's a big loss for them. Ormond Royd will probably start with Runny Yawa in the front row. But in terms of the Leigh Leopards, yes, they have not got Briscoe, but let's be fair, would he get in this team with Hanley at the moment? So their back line is looking pretty good. Matt Moylan and Lachlan Lamb back in partnership. Robbie Mulhern, of course, no Tom Amone, but this is an opportunity now for the likes of Owen Trout and Dan Norman to really, raise their game and play at the highest level. Ben McNamara as well. He could, he'll be very unlucky not to feature. Maybe he'll be on the bench as the rotating number 9, or will that be Brad Dwyer? I mean, on the face of it, you would say that the Leigh squad looks stronger, but I'll tell you now, this could go either way as well. Another brilliant, brilliant game in Rivals Round. And then, of course, bringing down the curtain on Sunday will be the London Broncos against the Giants, promoted against 9th last season. Of course, London looking for their first win. We've seen glimpses from Huddersfield this season. I think the James Meadows, Adam Clune battle is going to be really good. Really like James Meadows. I think he's a great, great player. He is going to be one to watch. Of course, no squads as yet have been announced for this. That will be coming tomorrow. Keep your eyes on our Facebook page. We will update it with as much information about these games as we get closer to kickoff. That's Rivals Round. That's Game of the Week. That's the news headlines. Make sure you get to the game. Make sure you watch the games on Sky Sports. Rivals Round should be a belter. Every one of these have got things riding on it. It's really, really close. Super League is well and truly back in round number 6 for Rivals Round. We hope you enjoy it. Don't forget, we will be back on Monday morning on the podcast, the Final Whistle podcast, in the sheds throughout the weekend. Enjoy your Rugby League, everybody. Until the next time, bye for now.